The survival journey officially begins as the lone traveler steps deep into the heart of the rugged, primeval forest. Amidst the dense vegetation and slippery, damp ground, every single step requires absolute, unwavering focus. As they navigate along this steep, rushing stream, will they be able to find a safe shelter before the wilderness darkness completely surrounds them? What are your thoughts on this challenging, high-stakes start to the expedition? Facing the precarious, moss-covered cliffs, the surrounding space seems to shrink, highlighting the human's vulnerability. The razor-sharp blade decisively hacks away the thorny branches blocking the path, opening up a new vantage point to assess the danger of the steep terrain ahead. Caught on the razor's edge between life and death in the vast wilderness, any hasty action or minor mistake at this moment could easily cost them their life. Discovering a clear, underground spring flowing from the ancient rocks is a golden clue for locating vital survival resources. They crouch low, meticulously scanning for fresh animal tracks left on the damp mud. It is a fascinating observation that the boundary between the hunter and the hunted in this silent, imposing forest is sometimes separated by nothing more than a single breath. Pushing past the thick, low-hanging fog, they have found an ideal flat plot of land, naturally shielded by massive, ancient tree roots. This will be the vital forward operating base, protecting them from the lethal hazards of the late-night forest. In your opinion, will they be able to complete a sturdy shelter before sudden, violent jungle storms inevitably pour down upon them? To prepare for a confrontation with a swarm of deadly, venomous wild bees, the survivalist begins crafting primitive biological weapons from damp sawdust and forest leaves. This thick, suffocating smoke will be the key to paralyzing the aggressive swarm's pheromone alarm system. Could this indigenous method really be enough to help a lone human neutralize tens of thousands of invincible jungle warriors? What are your thoughts on this crucial preparation? The real battle for survival begins as the fragile safety rope is secured around the tall, ancient tree trunk. At this dizzying height, the space seems to expand, threatening to swallow the small figure of the hunter. Any slight negligence in tying the knots, or a single moment of distraction, would be paid for with their life before even reaching the primary target. Every meter of height is conquered with extreme concentration and the absolute maximum physical endurance of the human body. The slippery tree trunk tests the courage of the naturalist as they hover in the vast, empty space without any protective support. It is an interesting observation that the wind howling through the leaves at this moment seems to harmonize with the rapid, pounding heartbeat of a human standing at the gates of such a dangerous territory. Approaching the death trap of the giant beehive at a height of over 20 meters, the atmosphere becomes thick and tenser than ever before. Above, the wild bees begin to detect the intruder, creating an intense, threatening buzzing sound. In your view, with only primitive smoke in their hands, can they successfully neutralize this aggressive swarm to harvest the sweet treasure of the ancient forest? Moving away from the lethal beehive area, the survivalist returns to the essential task, collecting materials to build the shelter. The razor-sharp blade glides through, stripping the old, straight, and sturdy bamboo stalks from the heart of the forest. This is not merely bamboo cutting. It is a meticulous calculation of structural integrity to withstand the crushing pressure of the wild weather. What do you think about choosing old bamboo as the skeleton for the camp? The weight of the bamboo stalks presses heavily on their shoulders as they move through steep paths covered in rotting leaves. Amidst the profound silence of the old forest, patience and endurance are the only things keeping their legs from collapsing against the harsh terrain. This manual transport consumes a massive amount of physical energy, requiring a very scientific distribution of strength to avoid becoming exhausted halfway through the task. Every single action of whittling and cleaning the sharp bamboo nodes is performed with the absolute focus of hands seasoned by long experience. An interesting observation is that these primitive skills represent the pinnacle of survival art, transforming the raw materials of nature into tools that protect mankind. In your opinion, Will thoroughly smoothing the bamboo surface lead to a more structurally sound shelter against the coming storms? All the basic materials have now been fully gathered and scientifically categorized right at the heart of the makeshift camp. This proactive organization helps optimize construction time before the sunlight completely vanishes behind the precipitous mountain ranges. The next challenge is to connect these raw pieces into a solid, defensive structure that can withstand the silent, encroaching darkness of the deep forest. Entering the phase of defining the shelter's shape, the survivalist uses the largest bamboo stalks to drive deep into the flat ground. These four basic corner pillars serve as the foundational bedrock to resist the untamed power of the wilderness. Amidst the profound silence, each movement to set the pillars demands absolute, pinpoint precision. Will this raw structure be sturdy enough to resist the fierce, howling winds of the deep forest? Without using nails or modern tools, they skillfully use flexible jungle rattan to tightly secure the joints. The combination of sloped bamboo slats and tightly bound knots creates a highly scientific weight-bearing system. An interesting observation is that the thin line between a solid, sturdy roof and a pile of debris sometimes relies entirely on the strength and tightness of these primitive, hand-woven ropes. Continuing to reinforce the roof, secondary bamboo rafters are placed in parallel, creating a perfect slope to ensure proper drainage during heavy rain. The A-frame structure gradually emerges amidst the precarious space of the thicket, protecting the lone traveler from the dangers raining down from above. What are your thoughts on the construction speed of the survivalist at this crucial moment? To ensure absolute safety before nightfall, they use their entire body weight to test the durability of the bamboo frame. Each joint endures immense pressure yet remains completely motionless, proving the top-tier survival experience of the hunter. Amidst the wild, a single operational error or a loose joint would inevitably be paid for with a life-threatening accident once the sun sets. Taking advantage of Mother Nature's generosity, lush green branches are skillfully woven along the side walls. This layer of leaves acts as a biological shield, not only helping to camouflage the camp, but also blocking the cold drafts passing through the gaps. The challenge now is to complete this protective layer before the twilight light completely fades away. The basic structure of the makeshift defensive camp has now been completed after hours of relentless effort. Standing back from the clearing, the naturalist surveys the entire structure to prepare for the upcoming roofing phase. According to you, will this shelter be strong enough to protect them through a long, silent night filled with lurking dangers? To complete the roof before the silent darkness falls, the survivalist begins harvesting large, wild banana fronds. Every precise slash of the blade separates the thick, dense leaves, the ultimate weapon to help combat the sudden, unpredictable jungle rain. Will this amount of banana leaves be enough to completely cover the entire surface of the shelter? Time is running out as the sunset begins to hide behind the precipitous mountains. They hold the bundle of banana leaves tightly, walking quickly but cautiously on the slippery forest floor. An interesting observation is that this race against time is just as intense and thrilling as the previous confrontation with the deadly, aggressive bee swarm. The roofing process is carried out in an incredibly scientific manner, following the principle of layering like fish scales from the bottom up. This indigenous method ensures that rainwater flows right off to the ground without being able to penetrate the inner space. What are your thoughts on this professional roofing technique used by the naturalist to keep the shelter dry? To prevent sudden gusts of wind from blowing away hours of hard work, a long bamboo pole is fixed right on the peak of the roof. The extreme concentration is evident in every final knot tied to keep the fronds motionless under the pressure of harsh weather. A single, minor mistake at this moment could cause the roof to collapse in the middle of a freezing night. The fourth wall of survival is now complete as the survivalist steps into the cozy space inside the shelter. Surrounded by a wilderness full of hidden dangers, the bamboo and banana leaf fort is now ready to serve as a base for the lone human. According to you, what is the greatest reward after an exhausting day of hard labor in the deep forest? After securing a sturdy roof to protect their body, the survivalist continues to address the next essential need: crafting household items. A fresh, large, and succulent bamboo stalk is selected to prepare for the primitive processing stage. According to you, what will this bamboo tube be transformed into during this precarious survival journey? Under skillful hands and a razor-sharp blade, a rough bamboo node is quickly transformed into a convenient cup with a handle. This precision carving, accurate to the millimeter, helps minimize the risk of leaks during use. An interesting observation is that human adaptability is always the most perfect survival weapon against the harshness of the old forest. Not stopping there, another long bamboo stalk continues to be put through a decisive processing procedure. They skillfully split one end along the grain, creating an incredibly sturdy, field-expedient food-grilling tong. Amidst the wilderness, every small innovation is a key that helps optimize the energy of the lone traveler. The operation of sharpening both ends of the tong requires extreme concentration to avoid the blade slipping onto their hands, a lethal mistake on the edge of life and death without medical support. This pointed tip will help securely hold the collected spoils over the glowing campfire. Do you think this primitive design is highly practical? A water source is always the deciding factor for the survival of every naturalist on deep expeditions. By drilling a small hole at the top of the hollow bamboo node, a portable large-capacity water bottle has been completed. The state of disorientation or exhaustion from thirst will be completely repelled thanks to this priceless treasure of the green forest. The entire set of primitive survival tools made from fresh bamboo has now been fully gathered and neatly arranged in the corner of the makeshift shelter. This meticulous preparation brings a sense of absolute satisfaction, affirming the courage and unparalleled patience of a human before nature. What will be the next dramatic challenge for them as the silent darkness falls? A decisive strike rings out, severing the prize from the wild earth, as the massive bamboo shoot glistens with a pale golden hue under the filtered sunlight, a sweet, hard-earned reward for the explorer's unwavering courage and infinite patience. One must wonder if this single shoot is enough to sustain a man in a real-world survival situation. The process of peeling back the tough, fibrous outer layers is performed with expert precision, revealing the tender, pearly white core hidden within, while the preliminary cleaning at the site helps reduce his pack weight before he continues his arduous trek through the treacherous terrain. This ongoing struggle between human survival instincts and the relentless challenges of the deep forest remains intensely dramatic. As the silent night begins to shroud the vast wilderness, the explorer embarks on a critical next task, gathering dry firewood, where every fallen branch near the precarious roots of ancient trees is meticulously collected, a vital source of fuel to maintain the warmth necessary for survival. One has to question if this primitive supply of wood is truly enough to help him survive the dangerously cold night ahead. Clutching a large bundle of firewood, he carefully navigates over slippery, jagged rocks, where a single misstep could lead to a fatal accident, and it is a fascinating observation that the weight of this wood is directly proportional to his chances of surviving the freezing grasp of the old-growth forest, as he maintains intense focus with every ragged breath. Under his experienced hands, a sharp blade glides across the dry, weathered wood, splitting the fuel into uniform, manageable segments, a thorough processing procedure that optimizes the capacity of his makeshift fire pit and ensures the longest possible burn time, leading one to reflect on the immense patience and methodical preparation displayed by this lone hunter. Deconstructing top-tier survival skills, the firewood is scientifically sorted into 3 different size categories to control the fire, with small kindling that catches quickly, while larger logs serve as the core heat source throughout the long night. Between the thin line of life and death, a perfect heating system must be meticulously calculated down to the smallest details. To prevent moisture and night dew from damaging this precious energy source, all the wood is neatly stockpiled under a sturdy overhead cover. This serves as an indirect biological weapon to combat the infiltration of cold air from the ground, helping to fend off disorientation or exhaustion thanks to such thorough planning. Once the golden dry firewood is safely tucked away in the corner of the tent, a sense of satisfaction shines through after hours of strenuous labor. The explorer prepares primitive ignition tools to dispel the silence and darkness looming all around. One wonders, will the fire about to be lit be powerful enough to protect him from the gaze of wild predators? Entering the intense phase of awakening the fire, the explorer gathers bamboo fibers and ultrafine tinder. This makeshift nest serves as the kill zone to receive the first sparks amidst the humid environment. Will his indigenous skills help him spark life before darkness swallows everything? Swift, decisive strikes against the flintstone create a chain of brilliant flashes that shoot directly into the heart of the primitive tinder nest. The intense focus is evident, as any miscalculation could waste the body's precious energy. It is an interesting observation that creating fire in the heart of the wilderness is no less dramatic than a life-or-death battle of wits. When the first thin wisp of smoke begins to smolder, he cautiously lifts the tinder nest and uses gentle breaths to feed the fire. This steady flow of oxygen helps activate the heat system without blowing out the fragile nascent sparks, making one reflect on the extreme patience required by this professional fire-blowing technique. The dance of fire officially begins as it erupts with intensity, dispelling the stagnant atmosphere of the old-growth forest. The explorer quickly places this treasure into the fire pit, carefully interlacing small dry branches to nurture the flow of heat, as the cold boundary of the winter night begins to retreat before the sheer power of human ingenuity. A scientific, pyramid-like structure is applied to arrange the medium-sized sticks, creating a perfect space for oxygen to circulate. The golden flames lick through the dry wood grain, releasing an optimal source of heating energy for the precarious camp space. This is a core survival deconstruction step that any naturalist must master. Finally, the large heat-retaining log is placed into the heart of the stove, ensuring the glowing fire will burn persistently throughout the silent night. The brilliant fire not only wards off venomous wild beasts, but also brings absolute peace of mind in the heart of the wilderness. What is the greatest reward after conquering this field fire? Sitting beside the glowing red embers, the explorer begins the process of preparing the invaluable reward harvested from the old forest. A plump, golden bamboo shoot is placed on a field banana leaf, ready for a core survival deconstruction process to maintain vitality. Will this primitive meal help him push back the hunger looming around? The sharp blade glides through the smooth outer skin, splitting the bamboo stalk vertically with absolute decisiveness. The precise operation requires extreme focus to avoid the blade slipping into his hands within the cramped, precarious camp, as the dexterity of his hands is the most perfect biological weapon of man. Every part of the tough, aged bamboo base is quickly removed to keep only the tender, pearly white core inside. Following that, he slices the bamboo into uniform, thin pieces, which helps the ingredients absorb heat faster when introduced to the field cooking process. It is truly remarkable to witness the meticulous and systematic nature of the naturalist in this dramatic scene. All the sliced bamboo is gathered neatly into the heart of a hollow, fresh bamboo tube, a natural cooking pot with extremely high practical combat value. The refined combination of wild ingredients and field gear clearly highlights the seasoned indigenous experience of the lone traveler, as a small oversight in choosing the bamboo at this point could crack the pot and waste all his hard work. The clean water supply from the mobile container is slowly poured into the bamboo pot, submerging the tender bamboo shoots. The pure liquid fills the silent space, promising a nutrient-rich survival soup to dispel his exhausted state. The thin line between the harshness of Mother Nature and human adaptation is gradually narrowing. To complete the primitive pressure cooking system, a piece of fresh banana leaf is draped over, sealing the mouth of the bamboo tube. This makeshift lid helps retain the full heat and sweet essence inside without escaping into the freezing air. One wonders if this epic, rustic dish will achieve the flavor he expects over the glowing fire. Entering the intense phase of the cooking process, the explorer cautiously places the bamboo pot against the kill zone of the fire. The intense heat begins to lick through the fresh green bamboo skin, activating the direct heat transfer process, which is quite fragile. Will this primitive organic structure hold up against high temperatures without being incinerated? To secure the field cooking system amidst the uneven terrain, he skillfully wedges small sticks around the base. Intense focus is maintained, because a slight tilt at this moment could dump all of his precious clean water, proving that indigenous experience always transforms simple things into perfect support tools. Under the impact of a stable heat flow, the bamboo pot begins to simmer, releasing ethereal strips of steam through the leaf gaps. Deconstructing survival skills, the fresh bamboo's outer water layer acts as a core protection, preventing the tube body from cracking under the fire. What a brilliant natural heat dissipation mechanism of the deep forest. Suspended in the silence of the night, he uses a small branch to evenly distribute the glowing embers around the tube to optimize the temperature. Extreme patience turns a mundane chore into an art of perfect energy management. A small error in fire control could lead to the soup running dry or smelling of smoke. The liquid inside is now boiling vigorously, with bubbles rising, carrying the original scent of forest bamboo shoots spreading through the air. Although the danger outside the precarious shelter is immense, inside, this warm aroma is a mental medicine that dispels his state of disorientation, as the line of harshness seems to temporarily pause. Using a wooden stick as a protective lever, the explorer decisively lifts the hot bamboo pot away from the center of heat. The final epic reward is achieved when the bamboo shoot soup is cooked to perfection, radiating a pale yellow color that is extremely stimulating to the visual senses. One wonders, will this original flavor without spices be enough to conquer the traveler's palate? To complete the survival menu amidst the precarious wilderness, the explorer takes the small stream fish that have been cleaned for preparation. Each sharpened bamboo skewer pierces firmly into the fish's body, fixing the primitive ingredient with absolute decisiveness. Will this precious protein source help him regenerate energy after a long, exhausting day? Each skewer is planted firmly around the kill zone of the fire, receiving the glowing heat radiating from the field charcoal embers. Adjusting the angle requires intense focus to protect the meat from being charred under the high heat pressure. An interesting observation is that the distance to the flames is the decisive factor in success. Under the impact of the heat, the fish fat begins to sizzle and drip onto the ashes, releasing an aromatic scent throughout the silent space. The fish skin gradually turns to a golden brown color that is extremely stimulating to the visual senses, clearly deconstructing the art of peak fire control. What do you think about the naturalist's extreme patience in this scene? To ensure the dish is cooked perfectly, he gently flips the direction of the bamboo sticks, bringing the remaining meat side toward the heat flow. This manual flipping process helps eliminate all potential parasites hidden in the wild stream fish. Between the line of survival, a small mistake in preparation can lead to a fatal accident. The aromatic smoke wafting from the grilling fish fills the entire camp, signaling that the protein-rich meal is nearing its final stage of preparation. The explorer carefully monitors the fire, shifting the bamboo skewers to ensure that every part of the fish is thoroughly cooked, achieving a perfect golden brown crispness that preserves the natural moisture of the meat. It is a testament to his survival experience that he can manage the delicate balance between high heat and potential burning, showcasing the incredible precision required in such a remote and unforgiving environment. Once the fish is perfectly prepared, he removes the skewers from the fire, placing the meal on a bed of fresh leaves to cool slightly before consumption. This simple, natural setup highlights the stark contrast between the wild, untamed forest and the systematic, disciplined approach he brings to his survival journey. Every bite of this hard-earned meal provides the essential nutrients needed to sustain his body against the upcoming challenges of the deep woods, and the quiet satisfaction on his face serves as a profound reward for his tireless efforts throughout the day. With the meal concluded, he meticulously clears the remnants of his cooking, ensuring that no trace of his presence remains in the area. This practice of leaving no trace is a crucial aspect of his survival philosophy, reflecting a deep respect for the ecosystem he is temporarily inhabiting. He then turns his attention to fortifying his shelter for the night, checking the stability of the support structures and ensuring the roof is secure enough to withstand any sudden rainfall or strong winds that may occur. His focus remains sharp, as he understands that even the smallest weakness in his camp could lead to significant issues while he tries to rest. As he secures his gear for the night, the darkness of the forest continues to deepen, yet he remains composed and ready for whatever the night may hold. This constant state of vigilance is the hallmark of a true wilderness survivor, someone who has learned to harmonize with the elements while maintaining a firm grasp on the reality of his situation. Every movement is deliberate, every action is calculated, and his preparation for the night ahead demonstrates a level of expertise that ensures his continued safety and endurance in this vast, mysterious landscape. As the final embers of the fire begin to fade into a soft, glowing red, the explorer settles into his prepared sleeping area, pulling a rough but sturdy woven mat over his body for warmth. The surrounding forest is now completely cloaked in darkness, with the sounds of the night, crickets chirping, the rustling of distant leaves, and the occasional call of an owl, forming a rhythmic lullaby that highlights his isolation from the modern world. Despite the fatigue settling deep into his muscles after a long day of physical exertion, his mind remains alert, constantly processing the environmental sounds to ensure that no nearby threats approach his camp. This state of hyper-awareness is not born of fear, but of profound respect for the wild, acknowledging that here, he is merely a guest in a realm governed by survival. Each breath he takes is slow and deliberate, a grounding technique that helps him conserve energy and maintain mental clarity despite the encroaching cold of the midnight air. As he drifts off into a brief light sleep, his subconscious remains tethered to the reality of his surroundings, ready to snap to full wakefulness at the slightest hint of an unnatural disturbance. The forest at night is a different world entirely, one where the rules of visibility are replaced by the necessity of keen hearing and an intuitive understanding of the landscape. He knows that his survival tomorrow depends on the rest he secures tonight, and he trusts in the resilience of the shelter he has constructed to shield him from the elements until the dawn returns. Waking just before the first light filters through the dense canopy, he begins the morning routine with practiced efficiency, rolling up his gear and scanning the area for any sign of wildlife activity that might have occurred during the night. The damp morning air is cool against his skin, a stark reminder of the harsh climate he is operating within, yet he greets the new day with a renewed sense of purpose and calm determination. With his equipment stowed securely, he prepares to embark on the next phase of his expedition, feeling recharged and ready to navigate the uncharted paths that lie ahead. The wilderness holds many secrets, and he is determined to uncover them, one challenge at a time, fueled by his unwavering commitment to his journey. Navigating through the morning mist, the explorer moves with a newfound agility, his eyes constantly scanning the ground for tracks or signs of movement that could indicate the presence of local fauna. The forest is particularly active during these early hours, with birds beginning their songs and the rustle of small animals signaling the awakening of the wild ecosystem. He pauses occasionally, crouching low to inspect a cluster of edible berries or a peculiar type of fungus, evaluating their safety with the critical eye of a seasoned survivalist. Every discovery is a lesson in the complexity of this habitat, reinforcing his deep connection to the land he traverses. As the sun climbs higher, the temperature begins to rise, signaling a shift in his strategy from energy conservation to active exploration. He identifies a ridge in the distance that promises a better vantage point, a tactical decision aimed at mapping the surrounding topography more effectively. This systematic approach to exploration allows him to anticipate obstacles before they arise, ensuring that his path remains as clear as possible despite the density of the undergrowth. Reaching the base of the ridge, he faces a challenging incline covered in loose scree, a test of his physical stamina and balance. He proceeds slowly, testing each foothold with his weight before committing, his movements fluid and disciplined to avoid any unnecessary strain. The exertion is significant, but the goal of reaching the summit keeps him focused, each step bringing him closer to a broader perspective of the territory. The struggle against the terrain is a constant dialogue between his physical capabilities and the rugged environment, a dance that he performs with quiet intensity. Upon reaching the peak, he is greeted by a breathtaking panorama of the valley stretching out before him, a sea of emerald green broken only by the winding path of the river. He takes a moment to breathe in the expansive view, not just for the aesthetic pleasure, but to identify landmarks that will guide his movement for the next several hours. This aerial assessment is a vital component of his survival strategy, providing the clarity needed to navigate the challenges that undoubtedly lie ahead. His commitment to the journey is renewed by the scale of the landscape, standing as a humble observer in a world that is both terrifyingly wild and profoundly beautiful. Carefully tracing his intended path on the map, the explorer notes the potential for dense thickets and steep ravines that could impede his progress. He prioritizes safety above all, choosing a route that, while longer, provides more stable ground and better visibility. This strategic planning reflects his deep understanding of wilderness logistics, where time must often be sacrificed for the sake of long-term security. With his path clearly defined, he begins his descent from the ridge, his eyes constantly moving to adapt to the changing slope and vegetation. Every maneuver is a testament to his expertise, as he manages the descent with a steady, controlled pace that minimizes the risk of injury. The transition from the high vantage point back into the deep forest feels like entering a different world, where the light is dim and the air is heavy with the scent of damp earth. He moves with increased caution, mindful of the hidden obstacles that the dense foliage masks from view. His ears remain tuned to the forest's subtle shifts, listening for the snapping of twigs or the sudden silence of birds that could indicate the presence of a nearby predator. This constant alertness is the foundation of his safety, allowing him to navigate the shadows with confidence and grace. As he approaches a small clearing, he spots the perfect location to set up a quick midday rest stop, a strategic decision to replenish his energy and review his gear. He uses this time to check his water supply, aware that finding a reliable source in this sector might prove difficult later in the afternoon. Every resource is precious, and his disciplined management of these supplies is what keeps him viable for the duration of his expedition. He sits for a moment, letting the silence of the forest wash over him, finding a brief but meaningful sense of peace amidst the challenges. This quiet reflection is essential for maintaining his mental sharpness, ensuring he remains focused on the long-term goals of his journey rather than the immediate struggles of the terrain. Refreshed, he stands up and reshoulders his pack, feeling a renewed sense of strength and purpose as he prepares to move forward into the unexplored depths. The journey continues, marked by his persistent resolve and his growing familiarity with the rhythms of the wild, which he now navigates with a quiet, efficient confidence. As the afternoon sun begins to filter through the thick canopy and slanted beams, the explorer encounters a stream that appears to lead toward a more accessible part of the valley. He decides to follow the water's edge, knowing that rivers are the lifeblood of the forest and often lead to established animal trails. His pace is steady, carefully navigating the slippery moss-covered rocks that line the bank, while maintaining a watchful eye for any signs of recent activity. The sound of the rushing water provides a soothing backdrop to his trek, helping to mask his own movements from any potential threats. After walking for some time, he discovers a small sheltered spot under the roots of a massive ancient tree, perfect for a temporary base. He inspects the area for any signs of ground-nesting insects or dampness that could compromise his comfort during the night, as choosing the right location is vital for his overall well-being. With the site secured, he begins to collect materials for a quick, efficient shelter, demonstrating his ability to adapt to the environment at a moment's notice. The construction process is quick, utilizing fallen branches and large palm-like leaves to create a windbreak that will keep the evening chill at bay. He works with a rhythmic efficiency, his hands moving with the confidence of someone who has refined these skills through countless hours of practical experience in the wild. As twilight begins to settle over the forest, he gathers enough wood to keep a small, controlled fire burning until dawn, ensuring that he remains visible to any potential rescuers and safe from predatory animals. This nightly ritual is more than just a survival requirement. It is a grounding exercise that reinforces his connection to his environment and his readiness to face whatever tomorrow may bring. With the fire flickering to life and the shadows lengthening, he sits back for a moment of quiet contemplation, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for the simple, essential resources that the forest provides. His commitment to this journey is stronger than ever, fueled by the challenges he has overcome and the lessons he has learned in this vast, untamed landscape. Returning to the hearth, he finds the site where the fire once burned, now reduced to a circle of white ash and a few lingering, smoldering embers. His ability to maintain a fire throughout the night proves his deep, practical knowledge as a naturalist. A minor miscalculation in fuel management could have easily resulted in a life-threatening situation deep within the woods. To completely eliminate any risk of an accidental wildfire, he carefully extinguishes every last spark before packing his gear to prepare for the day's upcoming harvest. Every essential survival tool is organized neatly into his pack, ready for the new, successful challenges that lie ahead. To secure the necessary water supply for the journey forward, the explorer carries a hollowed, fresh bamboo tube, heading toward a small nearby stream. The surrounding terrain consists of precarious, slippery rock faces, where the danger of a fatal fall is always present. Will this natural water source be safe enough to sustain his vitality? Crouching near the slick edge of the water, he skillfully catches the clear, crisp stream flowing from the rock crevices into his bamboo tube. Each movement is meticulously executed to avoid stirring up the silt and sediment on the stream bed. It is an interesting observation that the deep forest is always willing to offer its purest treasures to those who know how to seek them out. Deconstructing indigenous survival skills, he breaks off a piece of clean banana leaf, rolling it tightly to create a sealed stopper for the bamboo tube. This primitive packing mechanism completely prevents dust or toxic parasites from entering his stored water supply. It is truly impressive to see the quick, innovative thinking of the naturalist in such a resource-scarce environment. The bamboo water container, once firmly secured, is tucked neatly into the side mesh pocket of his traveling pack. Distributing the weight evenly helps him maintain his balance easily while navigating the treacherous, high-stakes terrain. A small mistake that leads to losing his water supply at this stage would push the traveler into a state of disorientation. With the water supply secured, the explorer continues his journey, his keen eyes scanning the thicket for potential food sources to maintain his stamina. He identifies a patch of wild edible ferns, a common but vital resource in this region, and harvests them with a quick, practiced motion. Each fern is carefully inspected for freshness and pests, highlighting the extreme caution required when foraging for survival. He understands that in the wild, the line between nourishment and illness is incredibly thin, requiring constant vigilance and a deep knowledge of the local flora. Following the edge of a mountain ridge, he encounters a cluster of wild fruit, their vibrant colors standing out against the dense green foliage. He harvests enough for a meal, keeping the rest for later, as he knows that maintaining his energy reserves is the key to surviving the long, unpredictable days ahead. This tactical approach to food gathering is a fundamental aspect of his survival strategy, ensuring he always has a backup plan if his primary food sources become scarce. The terrain becomes increasingly difficult, with dense vines and thorny undergrowth creating a natural barrier that challenges his progress. He navigates these obstacles with a quiet, persistent determination, using his blade to clear a path without damaging the delicate ecosystem surrounding him. Every movement is a calculated effort to preserve his energy and avoid injury, reflecting his disciplined approach to wilderness travel. As the afternoon light begins to wane, he finds a sheltered plateau that offers a panoramic view of the forest, providing an excellent location to set up camp for the night. He clears the ground of debris and sets up his shelter, making sure the structure is stable enough to withstand any unexpected weather changes. This careful preparation is the hallmark of an expert survivor, ensuring that he can rest safely and wake up fully prepared for the next day's adventures. With the fire safely lit and his camp in order, he feels a sense of quiet accomplishment as he prepares to enjoy his hard-earned meal under the canopy of the stars. As the darkness settles, the explorer shifts his focus to fire management, carefully stacking damp wood on the outer edges to dry. This strategic preparation ensures he will have a reliable fuel source for the following day, illustrating his methodical and forward-thinking nature. Every action in this remote environment is part of a larger survival plan, designed to mitigate risks and maximize his efficiency. The silence of the forest is periodically broken by the distant calls of nocturnal predators, but he remains calm and focused, his trust in his protective shelter absolute. This mental fortitude is just as critical as his physical skills, providing the stability needed to endure the isolation of the deep wilderness. He spends the quiet hours refining his tools, sharpening his blade with a smooth river stone to ensure it remains a precision instrument. The repetitive motion is rhythmic and grounding, helping him maintain his focus while reinforcing his readiness for the challenges of tomorrow. As he prepares to sleep, he carefully masks his camp, leaving no unnecessary traces behind, a practice that reflects his profound respect for the natural world. Waking to the early morning mist, he quickly disassembles his shelter, restoring the area to its natural state before setting off once again. His journey through this vast, untamed landscape is a continuous cycle of movement, preparation, and adaptation, each day building on the lessons of the last. The path ahead is uncertain, but his resolve remains unshaken, his confidence bolstered by the successful navigation of every previous obstacle. With his gear secured and his route mapped in his mind, he pushes forward, eager to explore the hidden wonders that lie deeper within the heart of the forest. The survival experience is not just about endurance. It is a profound exploration of human potential when faced with the raw, uncompromising power of nature. Each step deeper into the wilderness is a testament to his expertise and his commitment to mastering the art of survival. As the morning sun begins to penetrate the dense canopy, the explorer encounters a complex network of animal trails, a prime indicator of thriving wildlife in the vicinity. He moves with extreme silence, observing the subtle signs, a broken twig, a patch of disturbed earth, that reveal the secrets of the forest inhabitants. This observational skill is vital, transforming the wilderness from a chaotic maze into a legible, predictable environment. He identifies a high-activity zone near a game trail, where the potential for finding natural resources is significantly higher. With practiced precision, he sets up a stationary observation post, concealing himself within the foliage to watch for movement. This display of patience is a testament to his discipline. He understands that the wild reveals its treasures only to those who possess the composure to wait. Time seems to slow down as he waits in the stillness, his breathing measured and his senses heightened to the slightest rustle of leaves. The forest, seemingly empty, gradually begins to reveal its true nature as the sounds of small creatures and the movement of hidden life emerge around him. This is the heart of the survival experience, the ability to coexist and observe without disruption. Once his observation is complete, he carefully notes the findings, documenting the patterns that will guide his future movements through this sector. His systematic approach ensures that every resource he identifies is utilized with maximum efficiency, minimizing waste and maximizing his chances of sustained endurance. As he continues his trek, he crosses a series of challenging ravines, navigating the steep, treacherous slopes with a steady and deliberate pace. Each foothold is tested for stability, and every handhold is chosen with care to ensure his safety in this demanding terrain. His unwavering focus is clear, as he knows that any loss of concentration could result in injury, putting his entire journey at risk. The landscape demands total accountability, and he meets this challenge with the quiet, hardened resolve of a true master of the wilderness. Emerging from the narrow ravines, the explorer arrives at a vast open valley where a fast-flowing river cuts through the terrain. The sudden exposure to sunlight and open space requires a shift in his navigation strategy, as visibility is high but cover is limited. He meticulously scans both banks of the river, looking for a shallow crossing point where the current is manageable and the riverbed offers secure footing. Crossing a wild river is one of the most high-stakes phases of any wilderness expedition, demanding absolute calculation to prevent gear damage or being swept away. He unbuckles the waist strap of his heavy pack before stepping into the freezing water, a vital safety measure that allows him to discard the weight instantly if he loses his footing. The icy water numbs his legs within seconds, but he maintains intense focus, using a sturdy wooden staff to create a stable tripod of support with every deliberate step. Step by step, he battles the relentless pressure of the current, his eyes locked on the opposite bank as he feels for solid rocks beneath the surface. The struggle against the powerful flow highlights the raw, unforgiving strength of the natural world, testing his physical endurance to the absolute limit. Upon successfully reaching the other side, he takes a brief moment to dry his boots and check his equipment, ensuring no water has penetrated his dry storage compartments. With his gear verified, he moves toward the tree line to re-enter the protective cover of the forest as the afternoon heat begins to peak. He identifies a patch of wild ginger plants nearby, harvesting the roots with his blade to use as both a natural spice and a traditional remedy for muscle fatigue. Packing the fresh roots away, he pushes deeper into the uncharted territory, his stride steady, and his commitment to the journey completely unyielding as the shadows begin to lengthen once more. As twilight deepens, the explorer begins searching for a strategic location to construct his night shelter, prioritizing protection from both wind and potential predators. He selects a slightly elevated site near a dense cluster of trees, which provides natural windbreak support while offering a clear view of the surrounding area. Constructing the base involves clearing away sharp debris and laying down a thick layer of dry foliage to insulate his body from the cold, damp ground. This meticulous preparation is crucial for maintaining his core body temperature throughout the night. He expertly lashes together structural branches using fibrous, flexible vines found nearby, creating a lean-to frame that is both aerodynamic and sturdy. His movements are efficient and deliberate, reflecting a deep-seated instinct for wilderness architecture that he has refined over many hours of practice. Once the skeleton of the shelter is established, he carefully layers palm leaves and branches over the frame in a shingled pattern. This technique, when done correctly, effectively channels rainwater away from his sleeping area, keeping him dry even in the event of an overnight downpour. It is a brilliant display of practical indigenous engineering that turns fragile forest materials into a reliable barrier against the elements. Satisfied with the structural integrity of his camp, he turns his attention back to the hearth, gathering a sustainable supply of dry wood to fuel the fire until dawn. The flicker of the flames provides not only warmth but a psychological sense of safety that is vital for mental clarity in the deep woods. Sitting by the fire, he cleans and prepares his remaining provisions, his focus remaining razor-sharp as he avoids any contamination that could jeopardize his health. The intense, methodical pace of his survival work never wavers, ensuring that even in the quietest hours, he remains fully prepared for any unforeseen challenges. As he finally settles in for the night, the forest hums with the sounds of nocturnal life, yet he feels a sense of profound calm, knowing that he has mastered the necessities of his environment. As the first light of dawn begins to pierce through the dense forest canopy, the explorer initiates the breakdown of his camp with practiced, quiet efficiency. He ensures that every branch and leaf used for his shelter is returned to the earth, adhering strictly to his philosophy of minimizing impact on the local ecosystem. This seamless transition from camper to traveler is a testament to the discipline he has cultivated over the long weeks of his expedition. With his pack secured and his senses sharpened for the day ahead, he heads toward a nearby ridge that promises a new vantage point over the unexplored valley. The climb is arduous, demanding high levels of physical exertion as he pulls himself up via protruding roots and firm rock holds. Every movement is a calculated effort to conserve his energy while maintaining a steady pace through the challenging terrain. Reaching the summit, he takes a moment to observe the horizon, using his knowledge of the landscape to identify potential water sources and protected routes for his continued journey. The panoramic view confirms his direction, providing a much-needed morale boost that reinforces his commitment to pushing deeper into the wild. He begins his descent, navigating the steep, loose slopes with a rhythmic, controlled gait that minimizes the risk of slipping on the mossy ground. Along the way, he stops to forage for wild berries, identifying a species he recognizes as a reliable, sugar-rich source of energy. This ability to read the forest's offerings is the key to his continued success, allowing him to bypass risks while capitalizing on the bounty of nature. As the afternoon sun warms the air, he finds a calm, shaded patch near a brook where he can pause to replenish his water supply and check his gear. The cool, clear water is a revitalizing resource, grounding him in the reality of his environment and preparing him for the final stretch of the day's trek. He approaches each task with the same intensity and focus, knowing that his survival relies entirely on the quality of his preparation and the precision of his actions. With the final hours of the expedition approaching, the explorer shifts his attention to a comprehensive pack-down of his camp, ensuring that every element of his presence is removed. He meticulously sweeps the area of his fire pit and scatters natural debris to restore the site's original appearance, a final act of respect for the land that has sustained him. This commitment to leaving no trace underscores the maturity of his survival philosophy, a blend of technical mastery and ethical responsibility. As he shoulders his pack one last time, he pauses to take in the vast, untamed landscape, his expression a mixture of profound relief and quiet satisfaction. The arduous journey, defined by physical exhaustion and constant vigilance, has come to a successful conclusion, with every challenge met through patience and strategic thinking. He navigates the final stretch of the forest floor with a sense of clarity, moving toward the edge of the wilderness with the steady, practiced rhythm he has perfected over the course of his trek. As he emerges from the dense canopy into the open light, he pauses, taking one final, grounding breath of the crisp forest air, marking the end of a transformative experience. His gear is organized, his skills have been tested, and he departs with a deeper understanding of his own resilience and the raw power of the natural world. The adventure may be over, but the lessons learned in these quiet, isolated depths remain, a testament to his expertise and his unwavering connection to the wild.